Hi, everybody. Welcome to our next episode of Super Morpheus podcast from the series. Today we have with us Geet and Vir. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you. They've been friends of ours for quite some time, and they run this what I personally consider one of the best bakeries, not only in Chandigarh but wherever I have been, and the love and care which goes into the product with which it is made and delivered.
Thank you.
So I've always been fascinated by the kind of work they do, the quality they design. So I thought it'd be nice to have a conversation and understand how it all come about. So maybe a good starting point can be, maybe you can take us a little bit back, before you guys started. So what was the genesis of Cookies Jar, as it is called by Geet and Vir? So if you can just, any of you can take us through that.
Right. So, first of all, thank you for having us here and giving the opportunity to share our story. So, like you said, talking about the journey.
Yeah.
So, both of us, I think, started our journey. I mean, we were both in the corporate setup before this, and in fact, that's where we met. That's where we got married.
Yeah.
And so we were both in telecom, and I was in marketing, and Geet was in customer services. So that's how we kind of met there. But prior to that, just talking about Cookies Jar.
Yes.
Firstly, so actually it was my mother who started this thing at home, and we were both working our jobs, doing our daily jobs. So she slowly built this. She had a name for herself in the city, but it was at a very small thing, because in fact she was also working at that point of time.
Okay.
So that was more like a hobby that was bringing her some income on the side. And so the first one out of us to take the plunge was Geet.
So Geet, what made you take that step?
So we were working with the telecom. So we got married in 2005, and then since then till 2007. So I used to get weekly offs.
Okay.
So I used to get into the kitchen, take a steel key plate, and then fill up the cone, start making the borders. So I have a very art background.
Okay.
I used to paint a lot, canvas painting, and very creative mind, and I used to think a lot what more creativity can be done. So and plus I used to do baking also earlier with my Masi. I grew up baking with her. And then after also when I grew up, during the college times, I was baking again. But that time, from that little oven, we shifted ourselves to OTG, So I was baking dry cakes for our occasions, for parents, anniversary, birthdays and all that. Anyways, when I got married, so it was something very similar what I had interest in. So then I used to take, my mother-in-law had a help, so the guy used to make. So I used to take his help, start icing the cakes again. And then one day my father-in-law said, why don't you leave your job? And if you have interest, why don't you get into this only? So I said, okay, fine. I'm happy to leave my corporate, because anyways, it was too much taxing for us. I mean, it was too much work. We used to come sometimes at 9 o'clock at night, both, And then I got into this, and I started baking for kids and wedding cakes. And since she was working, my mom-in-law, so I was completely 100% into this then. So my first cake was like I painted a Powerpuff Girls on the cake.
Oh, yeah.
This big. And when she came back home and I showed her, and she was like, you did this? I said, yeah. But she says, yeah, you're perfect. I said, yes. So this is how I started.
So
and it's continued.
So you're like combining baking and art.
Yeah, of course. It is like, I was just experimenting myself throughout. Abhi tak bhi chal raha hai. So I like experiencing new things, whether it's a pottery, whether it's a whether it's a canvas, whether it's a cake. So since then, my cakes are my canvas now.
Cool. So that's beautiful.
And in fact, the technique that she used to use that time, because during those days, so firstly, like we are not trained
Yeah.
professionally as such.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even my mom, like she would read old magazines and, you know, try to figure out things from there, because these were all magazines from the West. That time we didn't have those kind of ingredients, those kind of equipment. So she would play around with them and, you know, try to develop her own thing. And then talking about her thing, you know, when she started with the decoration, so there was no YouTube also at that time.
Of course.
So that technique that she developed to kind of paint on the cake, that was very, you know, instinctive. Like she had not learned that anywhere.
So I'm going to ask that. Did you see it somewhere? You just
No, it was like just whatever was available, you know, like
Those times,
Yeah.
when it was not there, we used to just.
so that's how, like, you know, I got into it, because then we would kind of figure out that how can we do something different.
Yes.
You know, because back in those days, cakes used to be very simple, and I mean they would of course taste good, but in terms of presentation,
it's 2007, right?
Yeah, 2000.
2007.
Remember that? Yes.
And so we sort of, you know, looked at what is available with us and how can we do something better with it.
Yeah.
So we developed this technique of making a stencil. And I would kind of measure the cake and then you know, take a printout of a stencil.
Cool.
And I would cut it manually.
Yeah.
I would, you know, make
That
the
should
gaps
be blades, you know.
Very precise.
very precise.
Very precise.
So that was my job.
Yeah.
I would give it to her, and then
That's my
she
job.
would use that, and you know, and
It reminded me of when I was in school, when you had that stencil and you used the paper, the
Yeah,
brush
Yeah,
to-
yeah.
to spray, or like, you know, we make rangolis on Diwali, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get those stencils, but these were like very elaborate. The ones
Not-
we
Very
made.
yeah,
elaborate.
of course.
So all the
And-
cartoon characters, he used to do it. My God, that was used to.
So we
say-
figured that out, and I mean, people just loved it. They had not seen anything like that in the city.
Of course.
So
So in terms of growing up, you grew up in Chandigarh,
yes,
and you were in Ludhiana, and then
Yeah,
you,
I was.
you came to work, and then you guys basically.
Yeah, yes.
That's how that.
Yeah.
Okay. The youths.
Now we got married.
So how were the orders coming? Were they all just word of mouth, or
exactly.
All word of mouth.
So how it happened was that my mom had actually started taking cooking classes. So she would have people coming over to learn. And then a lot of them realized that, you know, there is this person who can do this job of making a cake. So we have learned it, that's okay. But, you know, now we want someone else to make it. So through those classes, the ordering business started taking place.
So how did you figure out the pricing? Because it's a new product, right? It would be sort of unique.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as the market. So how was the...
We had to kind of figure out that what is going on in the market and how do we price it. So basically looking at what is available, what quality people are doing in terms of the taste and the decoration. So then accordingly we set our prices according to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we figured out that, you know, that we should charge maybe a premium.
Yes.
This is
Of course.
something which is being done fresh on order, nothing on the shelf, you know, fresh ingredients made, everything made from scratch.
Yeah.
And then of course her work when it came in, that was like something no one else was doing it.
So, so in terms of baking an ingredient, you would say that the sourcing the best ingredients, making
Yes.
it fresh,
Yeah.
Yes.
is that aspect, and that the art is...
Then the art on top of that is like
The second
further raises, you know,
Yeah.
the product.
Okay.
And even when we were working also, when I got married, so he used to get the cooking classes, little stuff in the office to me, and the girls used to get this. And I used to distribute also among them. Kha lo, koi baat nahi. So I got the couple of cakes, and they went crazy. He said, "Bro, we haven't tasted such thing in our lives." So this is how the word of mouth was really, it just spread. So
To the quality itself became marketing, but you
Yeah.
had some distribution due to your mother's work.
Yeah.
And that was the first place these cakes would go to, and then
Yeah.
they would just kind of keep
Yeah.
bringing people back or new people to us.
So now
But for her, like even till today, the real joy is actually, it's the art aspect of it.
yes.
So she gets a lot of joy out of, just making that whole thing. It's not about, of course, there is a
The
business
joy
to it.
without having an intention, but the joy adds to the business itself.
Exactly. So like even like a painter would step back and look at his work. That's how she also does it. That she will step back, admire it, see what else.
One of the things which you're talking about is like the pride in your own work sort of thing, right? Not so much about are people seeing it or not, but
Yeah.
how am I seeing it?
Exactly.
Like when we used to run a startup in Chandigarh, Madhouse, so we were in DVD delivery business. So let's say you are our member and you asked for a particular movie which we reserved for you tomorrow,
Okay.
but it is going to be returned by somebody else.
Right.
So now they may not return it,
Yeah.
right? So which means we'll send you a different movie, but we haven't fulfilled the promise.
Okay.
So now Nandini was managing operations, so she took it as a sort of a thing which we haven't been able to do. So so she would send that day a handwritten sorry note, apology note,
Okay.
and a 150 rupees plum cake from Gopal Sweets.
Okay.
And our membership of monthly was 350 or 500.
Okay.
But just because we take ownership of what we didn't do. Now one day, one guy called us to the customer care and he said, I wish to speak to the owners. So normally what do you feel? That somebody wants to complain. So that guy spoke to me and he said, I work for there's a company called Second Foundation in Chandigarh. So he said, I work as a senior project manager and I want to see if I can join as a co-founder.
Oh.
So this guy was basically IIT 250, IM whatever background.
Okay.
He wanted to start the same business as us, which was this DVD delivery business, because he was also in the US, Netflix was big.
Okay.
So now he says what happened was one of their teammates in the company got a cake as an apology note. And that became a story in the whole company.
Okay.
Ki there is this company which sends cakes. So he said that stayed with me. So I became a member myself.
Okay.
And then I liked the experience so much that I said, let me come and join. And he became our CTO basically.
Oh, wow.
So it was not the intention. The intention was just for Nandini and me to basically say that our work should be perfect.
Yeah.
Right. So that I've seen often that pride in your work while you do it for yourself, it basically also touches people because authentic quality and genuineness is very rare in the market.
Yes.
Exactly.
And to stand and so one other thing I've seen in such where you're doing genuine authentic work, it takes time, of course, right? Yes. It takes time and you have to put in your heart and soul. Yes. But were there times when you were given suggestions by people that you are too perfect and too pure and you should sort of reduce your standards and scale more and do more?
Yes.
Yes.
Many times.
I'm sure because
many times.
as you become
Till now.
successful, people will
Till
give you
today.
free advice, right?
So especially we have someone in the family who is also from the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
So he knows this thing very well that, if you get too involved in your work, it can hurt you in different ways. I mean, one is probably taking feedback from people. Second is, if you want to scale your business. Third is you will not get time for yourselves if you become too deeply involved. So, yeah, we did get, feedbacks like this. And so, of course, you have to be smart enough to understand which you have to take and which you have to leave. Of course, the part about, taking time for yourself, that is very important. So initially, we had a very small team and a lot of work was directly on us.
Okay.
So, yeah, initially you enjoy doing all of that, you enjoyed touching different aspects of it, and which is good because then you learn about things.
Yeah.
You actually can tell deep down that what all mistakes you can make. So we did all that, and of course then slowly we added few more people.
How difficult or easy was to find people who will be able to
It was
match
like
that standard basically? Perfection and quality.
It was we taught them. They were all.
So we had to
no clue.
break down
Yeah.
things in a way that into small bits,
Yes.
which then they could do very well.
Yeah.
And then when you put it all together, then the whole thing is still as good as
So how does it work in your organization? There will be a sort of a place where customers come in, place their orders and discuss, and there is what's the organization like, various functions which you have? So receiving orders, making cake delivery, marketing on Instagram,
So yeah, I mean, it all starts with the customer getting in touch with us.
Okay.
So we don't have a shop or a retail space.
Yes.
We just have a studio kitchen.
Yeah.
And people have been, they get in touch with us over phone or WhatsApp.
Okay.
And then, of course, we added a website also. That was, I think, some 2 years back, 2.5 years back. And so, yeah, that's how the order comes in. And
so are you guys still taking the calls, or the team members receive the call?
So a lot of calls I do take, but then calls have now reduced. A lot of inquiries come directly on WhatsApp.
Okay.
So on WhatsApp, we have a person who manages.
So somebody
who is managing, and plus
people are trained to sort of do things in a manner as it suits the...
And she was also very raw, but we trained her, and plus we are also checking the order simultaneously.
Plus we are
conversation.
anyways close by.
Yeah.
And in case she feels that something is not, if she needs to ask something, so she can always,
Yeah.
So we just tell her that this is what you have to tell the person.
So how did you, what happened? What were the milestones that made you also leave your job?
After she left, so I was like very happy doing my thing because we were working, it was a small company, independent company. Spice Telecom was there in Punjab at that time. And as a team, like, it was a wonderful place to work in. I learned a lot there. I was in marketing. But of course, as businesses grew, the company remained small and it was struggling. So it got acquired, then the whole proper, it got acquired by a bigger player.
Yeah.
And then, all the corporate things started seeping in, like we had a lot of freedom to take decisions. And of course, people would vet them before they went into production. But then with a big setup, things became slow, It was hard to learn new things. The culture kind of changed, and then I stopped enjoying my work. So I had to take a call that either I move out of Chandigarh, if I want to do that kind of a work, move closer to the corporate office, or by that time with Geet being there, the whole business was starting to grow a little bit.
Okay.
And then I also realized that they needed some more help. Because they were doing all the creative work, but someone has to manage the business side of it.
Yes.
Because as things grow, then people start expecting that from you.
Yes.
Then they can't expect that, fine, even though you're a home baker, but at the end of the day, you have to deliver what they've asked for.
Yeah. So basically, given that you came from telecom, which has a very good customer care, I would assume that
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so she's still very good at talking to people, understanding
their customer care.
it matters a lot, actually.
Yeah.
These kind of things.
So a lot of learnings came from there. Like, since I was in marketing, we had to look at revenue, how to increase revenue, how to look at costs, profitability. So that thing was always there in me. So I could structure things in that way, keep them organized.
Nice.
So then, of course, 2013, I think, was the time. So I decided to leave and I came in here full time. Although I was never a risk taker, I was very conservative by nature. So, but that time I had to, I just thought that I will let me go.
These are decisions which are not logical, actually, just.
But that was the best decision, because he was the one who was taking care of then the boys' cake, and I was the one who was taking care of wedding cakes and the girls' part. He was making all those Harley Davidson, little those Royal Enfield bikes and all, doing that boys stuff. He was very creative. He's very creative in that.
So, like, I would say that any design with straight lines is my work. Anything is organic is hers.
And I remember I used to do work like creating something, even a jungle or even a fairyland. So I used to imagine myself inside that fairyland and then create it and go, I don't know. I used to imagine things a lot. And I was to go crazy. And even you remember when these that bird king, Angry Birds. So we used to have on our phones. Okay? So when I used to make Angry Birds, I used to start. I used to make those sounds. Me. And my mother-in-law used to stand there. What is wrong with you, Geet? I said, nothing. You're not playing Angry Birds. No, I play Angry Birds. I don't know what is this.
So it's about having fun also.
I was on total fun then making things.
Would it be fair to say that almost all your cakes are like that bespoke? Each one is unique? Or
I mean, when we started, so thing was that when initial part of the journey, when internet penetration was also not that good, so people would leave everything on us.
Yes.
okay.
So they would just say that we want to, like, this is our theme, this is what we are doing, it's a 50th birthday, my dad likes to drink and, play this.
Yeah.
So just do whatever you want.
We leave it on you. We trust you.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun that time. Because then you could actually start fresh, on a blank canvas. But now things have started changing. I mean, now you have designs all over the world available on the internet. People will just send them to you.
Especially AI.
And they would want to make things easier, just do it like this, just do it like this. We have to tell them that fine, this we can probably take this as a reference, but not everything is possible. There are different reasons why it not be possible. Maybe you want a smaller size, this thing can't fit on that. So then it used to become a little irritating because then you used to feel that our hands are tied.
Yes.
And then people would start doing comparisons that, this is on the picture, this is like this, but yours is really different. So you have to educate the customer also at that point of time that, this is just a reference. This is not the final outcome. So you have to give us some freedom to play with. And of course, like she was saying, with AI coming in, now people just fill a whole boatload of requirements there and they'll get something and then they'll send it to us.
So customer communication, because of the uniqueness of what you're doing, should be it's also a place to innovate and sort of smoothen things out, right?
Yeah, it's very important because with all these things, these are very personal. I mean, it's not, at the end of the day, you're not having a cake. It's also a very emotional thing. If you're creating a customized cake, you have some feelings attached to it. You're giving it to a loved one and you want them to feel, really happy seeing it. So that's how, I mean, that, and we realized that later on that, that you have to be very careful in understanding the requirement that is getting in, and you have to be very upfront in what is possible and what is not. So that was a very important learning.
What you said is very interesting. The cake actually represents something else.
Yeah.
Some emotion, some psychological, some event and moment.
And we used to get the calls or messages from people. At the end of the day, my child didn't want to cut the cake.
Yeah, that.
And they were fighting over the cake. They don't want to spoil the cake. वो ऊपर वाला टेयर उठा के उसने फ्रीजर में रख दिया है. वो सारे उसने टॉयज निकाल लिए हैं, फ्रीजर में डाल दिए हैं. And they want to enjoy it. I said, that was actually used to make my day. That was really emotional. Then I was to say, but yes, when I started the fondant work, my first cake was, I had no clue whether I'll be able to do the sculpturing because but when I created a dog, that was for my own furry baby, Cooper, and I was shocked. I said, I can do it. It's okay. It's a very easy job. But then we took a cake. I made jungle cake. I took it for a friend's birthday, child. And then wahan pe dekha to the kids are like, this is mine. And I was like, hi, I made this. It took me 2 hours to make all this. And then,
That's the first time we saw it actually being cut or whatever.
That
and I like with kids,
the part.
Yeah. It's not how you expected.
But then later I realized that that's the happiness among the children. They were picking up all the animals. Lion ye mera hai, giraffe mera hai, gardan kahin ja rahi hai, tang kahin ja rahi hai. I said, okay, it's okay.
The Buddhist, in India, meditation, the mandala tradition, right?
So
in the Buddhism, they make this very elaborate 3D mandalas. You might have seen. So we
yes.
let's say 8-day ceremony.
Okay.
So they will use very fine, है तो mandalize that रेता और वही करते हैं, but they will make layers and layers, and it will be so fine. And these monks are like specially trained, and they will have very fine instruments. But at the end of 8 days, they will leave it for a day or two.
And then
It
they
just
yes.
and it represents the idea of letting go actually.
Yeah.
So when you said
Yes,
like if you get attached to your cake and somebody is doing it,
Yeah.
the only way out is to. So in a way it becomes a
Yes.
training in how to let
go.
How to let go.
But yes, I mean, we have gone through a lot. I mean, in this journey where we used to stand, even on 31st night, we knew that on 1st we have a cake deliveries. रात के 3 बज जाते थे, and we used to say, like, we standing just opposite and saying, okay, we're saying happy New Year, and he's Happy New Year.
And then back to work.
Back to work. And then after a few years, then we realized, okay, no cakes on 1st January. We want to just have some me time. So for 31st, we keep it like a half day, and then 1st we close down. And I know people, they are very angry with us, but we also need a little breather.
Yes, and care is a very
We
important
need
part of.
to enjoy some moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you started at home, and then how did this current space, or were you somewhere else in between?
Yes. So,
No, we were
Physical location?
at home only for a long time.
but
But then
2019.
But then work started increasing. We needed more space.
And
People found it difficult collecting things from a residential area, because of parking and all that.
And the most important thing was that working with the fondant, you need a very peaceful environment, which you cannot get in the house. You can't, because somebody's coming, some other person is coming, then the lunchtime is happening, and your father-in-law is saying, "Khana kha lo, kya tum ye kaam kari jata ho?" So we used to say, "Nahi, this has to go. Khana kha lenge hum. This has to go first. We have to work, finish the work, and then we'll eat our food." And plus, the fondant need more of peaceful environment, and concentration and all that. And plus, definitely the work was increasing. So then one fine day we just
We
decided.
thought that we have to move
We
on.
started
There
looking
is-
for a space.
there has to be-
But we never wanted to go for like on shelves, anything. It is all 100% on orders.
So
Nothing is kept.
So the process remained the same,
Remained
just
the same.
the physical location
Yeah.
shifted.
roughly how many unique cakes you guys would have made?
In terms of designs,
Just
I mean,
any idea? Thousands.
thousands.
Yeah.
Easily in thousands. That's what we like.
Any of your each one of your favorite one or two stories of some
So one
cakes?
is, I think, the shoe that we did.
That was a very good one.
We
Yeah.
did a lot of shoes, but the first shoe was for the Virat Kohli.
When was that?
So that was, I think, 2015 maybe. And
When he came here for the match.
yes, and I think Adidas, who was the sponsor for the shoes, they were supplying the shoes, so they had come out with a new design.
Yeah.
And incidentally, it was Virat's birthday also. He was in Chandigarh, so that's why they wanted a cake to be delivered to him.
So how did you guys get the call?
So someone referred the agency, the PR agency, and then they told Adidas. So someone from there called us up that he's in town and it's his birthday. We have launched a shoe, so we want you to make a cake, in shape of that shoe for him.
So how was the feeling when you got that order for Virat Kohli? Was it?
Yeah, of course, we were like really ecstatic that, although it hadn't come from him directly, obviously, but even if it's for him, it has to go to him. He will cut it, have it, taste it, whatever.
Okay.
So we did that. We made it. We delivered it to the hotel, and after a few days, so we put that picture on the Facebook
On the
page.
Facebook page, yes.
And
Interesting.
yeah, and so I think probably a couple of days back, after that we started getting inquiries, either calls or messages that, is this shoe available in size 10? Or can I have this shoe in blue? Because a lot of people didn't realize it was a cake.
It's so realistic.
It was so
Yeah, it
realistic
was so realistic.
that they thought it was an actual shoe, a new shoe, and that these guys are selling it. It's not available anywhere. And if someone has put a picture of that shoe and
But did you use a different color for the shoe or was same as the whatever model they gave us?
same. So they
Same.
gave us the specifications
That was
that
right.
this is for the
White
Indian team.
and
This is the color,
I suppose.
and so that was very funny. So we had to tell them that sorry.
It's a cake.
And they would say like, what? How can it be a cake? Because a lot of people who had no idea that cakes can be done like that, they just felt surprised.
Good.
So that was one very interesting.
Very
incident.
interesting instant.
What else will be?
So when I started roses, the roses were like, I was doing something wrong with the roses. I don't know why. I was like making the roses, oh, the shape was not coming the perfect. And the bud is not visible. What is wrong? So one fine day I was at my grandparents' place and there was a bunch of the roses, the bukka was right there. And I just saw the rose very carefully. I said, oh, I know what I am doing wrong. So I went back, I started making roses. So first there was a time when I used to make like in 30 minutes, I used to make one rose. Now I recorded like in 1 hour, I can make 10, 15 roses now.
So what was that insight you got? What was the...
So it was the whole thing, the nature when I looked at it very carefully and then I focused it and I was like, okay, what I was doing wrong, the petals were going wrong. I never looked at the rose very carefully. So I just started, I just started making it. And then I saw the nature, beautiful rose in front of me. And then I said, oh, now I know where is the mistake. So I started doing that. There were a couple of things around the cakes which used to...
So guys do like, is the rose the only flower you do or the other?
I do sunflowers also, but rose is the one which is my favorite. On the cakes especially. I tell people, okay, because we don't do the fresh flowers and all.
Yeah.
So I make my roses. And he used to get after my, your back will break. You teach somebody. I said, no, this is mine. Let it be.
So you'll be standing in like...
Yeah,
Yes.
big. And the whole hours I'm standing and doing work. That was also.
And also you were sharing that yesterday you delivered the largest cake which you have made in your history.
We did till 5 tiers a long time back, but yesterday was the first time we did 6-tier cake. So we assembled on the venue only, and then the whole decoration happened round. And
How many kgs was that?
That was supposedly 26 kg.
So on paper it was
Paper.
25, but actually I think it was
It was more than
more than
35.
35.
And then it's a like 6-layer cake.
Yes.
How
it's
long
a
does it take
six-
to make things like this?
It's a whole day. I
the
think
entire
finished around 4 o'clock. Since morning it started. And
And then you said you took it to the location that's set done?
yeah.
Because you can't fit it, it's so tall that you can't set it up and take it. You can't take a chance like that. And anyways, it would be too heavy to lift.
Yeah.
So for these kind of cakes, like you have to, move them separately. And then the whole decoration also happens on site over there.
And the cake was...
Everything, yeah.
It had all fresh strawberries inside. All the 6 tiers had a chocolate with the strawberries. I hope they enjoyed.
So in this whole journey, so generally what, in the beginning years, what was the, let's say monthly, how many cakes which you guys were doing? 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, probably to start off. So actually, for us, the way it works is it's not the number, it's generally the weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's say how many kgs of cake?
So I think when she had joined, we would be doing what? I think
5, 4,
3 kgs.
Okay, then how long it stayed there and then must have changed, right, over time? What
Yeah.
is now?
Yeah.
So now it would be, I think, anywhere on an average, I think around 20 kgs, 25 kgs.
A month?
No,
What was 3 kg you said?
a day.
3 kg a day?
Day.
That time now?
Now it would be around 20 kgs, 25 kgs a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you see So we've talked about how the business sort of evolved,
Right.
but how do you see you guys have evolved, like with the business? Like as the, I don't even know, it's calling a business doesn't seem right actually.
Yeah.
It's more of a passion.
Yeah, it's more of
passion,
a
passion project
Yes,
is part of
passion
you.
project.
Right, right.
But has it sort of evolved you? And I'm sure it has. How
Yes,
do you,
yes, it
How
has.
do you see if you were to talk about some of the things which sort of it did to?
So for me, like I was never good at communication, I would like to be alone, like give me a problem and I would love to sit and solve that.
Okay.
So I was very insulated from people and even as in terms of my personality also.
Yeah. Okay.
But coming into this work, you have to talk to so many people, especially customers.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to understand them, what they want. So that is one aspect where I have grown really. Interacting with people and explaining them, and just being more open, being more open around people.
No, also being more quiet to listen and understand what people are saying, right? Because that what you
So
talked about.
I was always good at that. I was always good at listening and understanding.
That's good. That's a
But the other way, talking or expressing was one area that I was lacking.
Okay.
And I used to feel that I should.
So now you feel a balance between the two.
Yeah, I do feel that.
Because also I think, in this matters patience. Because
Yes.
customers can be of
Yes, you do. Yeah,
all
yeah.
temperament.
All temperament.
Especially we live in Chandigarh.
Yes.
Yes.
We're pretty difficult.
Yeah. Not just the region, but of course you have so many bureaucrats.
Yes.
You don't know who you might offend. So yeah, there have been instances where I've realized that oops, this person was that, and then So you have to be So I think dealing with people and communicating with them.
Another thing which you guys mentioned was over time you found a much better, which I also know, the work-life balance
Yes.
part, which you used to like
So
fully immerse.
then, there was a time when we were struggling.
Yeah.
We would feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Like I would tell her that, we are doing so much of work. Fine, we are getting money for that, and people are happy. But we still don't get to enjoy that happiness.
Yeah.
People would give you feedback, but of course here the culture is more that they would probably give you feedback if things are not right. Very rarely would people
Give that other.
give that. There are people, of course.
Yeah.
So, there were days we would feel very frustrated. We were doing a lot of work. So one day I just told her that, what's the point of doing this?
Yes.
I've kind of realized that, I don't get that kind of satisfaction. The joy part has gone away now.
I don't know.
and
And he's
so,
like, he's
yeah.
very dissatisfied.
So she took me out of the workplace. She said, let's go out.
Let's go out. Let's go to Sankalp and have some dosa. तब Sankalp होता था. So we used to enjoy dosa there, South Indian. So we went to Sankalp and I was just sitting there and I was just like, okay. Before going there, I told her, I said, we think people know us. Don't worry. We are well-known bakers, people know us. नहीं हमें कोई नहीं जानता हम ऐसे ही हैं हम पागल हैं ये हैं वो
Not जानता नहीं. It's like if you're in an office, you get,
Yeah.
Someone would congratulate you
Yeah.
or something like that would happen. But here it's just the two of us.
Yes. So,
anyways.
I took him to Sankalp. I said, Chal, let's have a dinner for a change. So we were just ordering and suddenly two girls, they walk in close to us. He said, you are from Cookie Star, Geet and Vir. We said, yeah. Can we have a picture with you? And we are looking at each other. And we're like, okay, yes, sure. And he, बाद में वो चली गई and he's telling me, how much
Money you paid.
Was this a setup? Because the thing was like,
Was it a setup?
No.
Just checking.
I still have a doubt. I still haven't been able to get over that. Because the thing was that we used to always put pictures of our work.
Yes.
We were never visible.
We're never visible.
So that's one thing we realized that, we should also,
Yes.
people should see us.
Yes.
Yes. That's also where people want to see the human side also.
That my social media guy is still after me every day. BTS बनाओ, गीत अब ये करो. मैंने कहा या मैं केक बना लूँ या मैं BTS बना लूँ. I can't do and both the things together. It's very difficult for me to, because I'm focusing on my work. I just cannot create a BTS every time, every day.
Yeah.
So the social media thing is also, a bit crazy for
We have to
us.
work on
Yeah.
that. So
And another incident used to happen is when we sometimes used to go for a walk in 46 market only, close to our residence. तो मैंने वहाँ से निकलना and the boys used to ना ऐसे से they used to हुई तो I used to think कि वो ये छेड़ने वाला है तो I used to stop there and नहीं कुकी जार वाले हैं and I was like really the boys were saying cookie jar. He says, yeah, you have a red hair now, which is very popular around now. Everybody recognizes you. That was
So how about because I built a startup still today with Nandini, who is my life partner also.
Oh.
That has its own dimension of challenges. Once when we started off very new and we hired our first employee and we had some small team and she was pretty close to us. So one day she took us out of the office and she said, please don't argue like husband wife in office. She said, keep that at home. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So
I think we did have a discussion with you earlier.
Yeah, it's
That a challenge.
difficult part to navigate,
It's
Of
a
course,
very
the
difficult.
experience.
Biggest.
So yeah.
So many disagreements.
So I think after
But what wisdom do you have now? The question is that because there are still people who are starting together.
Yeah.
Right.
And that thing is always there. Because what I felt was while there are challenges, but it can become because the trust is so much,
Yeah.
which can make up for the challenges, right? So if you had to give because we all made our own mistakes when we started, right? Any tips or wisdom for people who might be starting as couples?
one
There's
thing
good
we
things
realized
and the
that I think
challenges.
that in terms of the work that you're doing,
Yeah.
earlier on, I think we were both giving our. We were both involved in same aspects of the work.
So
So one is that you
Yeah.
have to segregate that.
that
And then you have to trust the other person that
Yes.
this thing, like this person is going to be responsible for that. I will not, jump in.
Jump
Definitely,
into. Yeah.
Although still you can review things at
Yeah.
some point of time, but you have to, do that. That is like
That's a
extremely
big-
important.
key thing.
Very important.
Very important.
Be clear about who is responsible for what.
And of course, initially we had to be together in some things when you are creating something new. But then you have to, give space.
Okay.
Divide the work in such a way that there is no option that you have to give space. So that certainly helps. So now we look after different parts of it. I am more into the acquisition side, acquiring, like people would come or even the online presence, which we never had. So I created that. I made the website and we started putting up products there. So that has also taken up.
Oh, yeah.
So that the business side of it, dealing with vendors, and she is more hands-on with the production.
Yeah. Kitchen is mine.
Kitchen. So yeah.
He sometimes he's like, oh, ye Nick out. That's my kitchen.
So although I have to deal with customers, so I do have to share whatever feedback.
Yeah.
So then
You figure out a way, basically.
you have to figure it
Yeah,
out.
because I remember when me and Nandini started, we were only two people and we made our org chart
Okay.
of like, who is the head of HR, who is whatever, right? And both had departments. So somebody said, you guys are behaving like a corporate with two people company.
right.
But, that
You
approach
have
I just
to-
said,
yes.
clarity really helped us, basically.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
To see who's doing what and, as you said, not...
Otherwise, you get lost in your passion. Like she's very passionate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you have to be,
We had that clash, Abhipi. I mean, I'm saying, TK, this is my product. I have to do it. But why you have? I said, yeah, I have to.
That's an eternal...
Yeah.
yeah.
See, because also, as you would know, that these clashes are what also leads to improvement.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Because, that
You get a problem, then you have to.
Yeah. That's what challenges then lead to sort of finding a common ground at a higher level where you can both find sort of.
I'll tell you what happened when the fresh strawberry came, Abhi. So the incident which happened down, the customer says, KJ, there is a peculiar this thing coming up from your cake. And I was
We started getting feedback
Ah.
from few people that something is
and those
not right.
people who were taking the strawberry cake in the off seasons when the strawberry was not there, the fresh strawberry. So I checked up the whole thing. What is the problem? Then I got to know, they need to understand the strawberry is fresh. The fragrance of the strawberry comes when you open the box.
Yeah.
And when you eat, it's a different taste because the comfort is different, but we are putting fresh strawberries also inside. So people can enjoy right now. So then we had a disagreement on this. Don't put the fresh strawberry. I said, I will put the fresh strawberry. Let the people enjoy. Yeah, don't put the fresh strawberry. We're getting
Because
complaint.
when the fresh
Yeah.
season is over, then they would get a different experience.
Yeah.
So I would try to give a uniform experience throughout. But then she would want that, if this is in season, then we should, emphasize that.
Yeah, I get
Then people, there are people who are enjoying and they're sending, oh, your fruit fusion is amazing. It's got all that good gooey taste, with lots of fruit inside. Because normal bakeries, they might not put, but we layered with those.
So we are very conscious
We're
that
quite
we
conscious.
have to give the best, whatever, is available.
So there are certain people who won't like too much of cream, who want too much of cream. So we keep our this whole thing, balance. We know the old clients what they want, but somebody who new comes in, then it's little challenging sometimes. But yes, we try.
What stands out to me is if you go from 2007 to today, it's about 18 years, right?
Yeah.
But the passion which you have, it's very rare to see that aliveness for the for the work you have.
Yeah.
Right. So what's some of the things which you think either happened for you or you guys sort of saw and did, which has the aliveness, but you're still as if it's new, right?
Right.
Every day is giving you some joy and excitement. It's not, the staleness has not come in.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think one would be in terms of experimenting with
Yeah.
whatever we are creating
Okay.
in terms of flavors. Like, in fact, last 2 days only we kind of realized that we have this fruit called Cape gooseberry or raspberry. You call it, yeah.
People call it raspberry.
And it comes for a short time, but it's a wonderful fruit, and no one has been using that ever in a cake like it, and we feel that it deserves more respect or whatever, more attention. So we are working on that. We are trying to develop something on that. In fact, after this we have to go and taste. So there's something which is there, and we have
Good, I'll get. Yeah, happy to place the first order. Sounds very nice.
So one is you have to look for new things that excite you. And then for me, it is also not just the product, also the process also.
Yes.
So I'm always looking at how to improve processes, how to streamline them, how to make them simpler. So if not the product or if not something else, I will look at the process. How can I improve it? So for example, for us, the whole process from getting the order from the inquiry and then getting it done was becoming difficult. Because earlier it was easy, you just write it down, but as volumes increase, things become difficult, especially if you have a team and that information has to flow across to them. So that I took it up as a challenge, and so then we found a solution around it. We did. I mean, there was a point of time that, for a business as small as us, I was trying to get an app developed just to capture orders and, to enter it, and that we should get an update timely that you have to work on this. I mean, you have legacy tools, but then you need different tools, and that point of time those tools couldn't talk to each other. But then I did a lot of research and I realized that you can connect different tools. So there are now methods available that without coding you can do all that. So I learned that. And now so that part of it got solved. So that was something.
So experimentation and learning in all aspects.
In all aspects.
Same. Because I've also seen that you started, if I remember, like a 2D art.
Yes.
To 3D, which is fondant. So now, what you were saying that now you guys have moved out of fondant to use white chocolates.
No, our base was never covered with the fondant.
Okay.
We always used the white chocolate ganache for covering our cakes. So people they get confused with white chocolate ganache and the fondant. So fondant is chewy, is very sugary,
Okay.
So our is very easily cut. It's smooth. It's basically a white chocolate.
But the finish is so good that it looks
like a...
Your art is done by with the same base?
We try to keep the use of fondant to a minimum.
Yeah.
So it's not healthy,
Yes.
and so we are not fans of it. And people here are also not. I mean, because they are used to the kind of taste that we've been providing, and suddenly, of course, they would want a very fancy looking cake, but then they also want that same taste.
Yeah.
So we have to.
So we mostly tell them that your cake is not weight is not added with the fondant weight, and B just remove the all fondant elements
All the
from
decorations.
the decoration from the cake. First you cut it, then remove the decorations, and then you slice it and serve it.
Then you enjoy it.
Then you enjoy it. Don't eat the decorations. It's okay. It's for decorations. But yes, for kids, they want to love. It's okay. And regarding his app and all that, now he has see the journey, how it came in 2007, 8, 9, 10. I used to write down the orders with my own notebooks, each and every explaining. Then when he came in the business, then we took out the printouts of the order form. We made that. We started using those.
Different.
Yeah.
At different points in the
Yes.
journey, you had to upgrade.
Upgrade.
to-
Then we started making Excel sheet for the ordering, and now
it's now on
it's all-
the cloud, and you can access it anywhere.
yeah.
The workers, I mean, our team members, they can also
Yeah.
see what's going on. What is their role in that particular job? So
Yeah, what it seems to me is that you've been able to find a dimension of experimentation, progress, and joy.
yes,
And that has become sort of integral part of how you are, right? And then it gives that personal happiness, satisfaction. You found work-life balance.
Yeah.
yes,
Got a team in place. See, personally, one of the reason I wanted to talk to you guys, because I feel that like local entrepreneurship, which basically means people who live in a city create a business for the people of the city
Yes.
and continue to establish a very solid something. I mean, I don't have an issue with people expanding, but what I've seen is if expansion becomes the number one thing, you don't really grow and become perfect,
right.
right? And many businesses, I feel, probably make sense in terms of quality, just as local
Yeah,
local businesses which start in a city, they serve a city.
right.
And we have, like, for example, My Fresh in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
In a very similar manner, they've sort of become a local brand. So the current spotlight of entrepreneurship, if you were to call it, it's all very digital, national, international, which has its own place. But I think the local businesses have their own place,
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly.
and should be respected and sort of.
Yeah.
Some businesses should be, I mean, localized only.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's just very important.
like I mean,
If you want to scale, you can probably scale as maybe transfer of knowledge,
yes,
but not try to push your physical.
because the quality will
It will suffer.
will get dropped. I mean, the famous story, I'm sure you guys know, the McDonald brothers, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They had this one famous place, and then this guy goes and takes a franchisee,
Yeah.
Right.
and while he creates an empire,
Yeah.
so it was not becoming profitable, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So he says that if we can replace real milk shake
Yes.
with a powder, then it will be profitable. And these two brothers who started it, they actually, because they had the authority to basically, they had the contract that you have to make it as it is.
Right.
So they objected to it, and he had to break the contract and like pay them a big fees.
Okay.
But they agreed to sort of get out of McDonald's, but will not agree to saying that there should be no milk.
Yeah.
But this guy took it as a business and
Yes.
added all the powder and everything else, and you have a large global chain which has very low nutritional value of.
Exactly. Now everyone knows about like what value that food has.
Yeah.
I mean,
But see, that's but what I'm saying is like local businesses have a different kind of flavor to them, basically. And if you go to a cafe also which is run by somebody who who lives there, who sits there, they have a different flavor. The moment it begins to branch out,
yeah.
Yes.
That thing will get.
because very difficult to find people similar-minded who can sort of carry it forward.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think local businesses have a very beautiful place in the overall, scheme of markets.
Right.
So, and more people should take it up, actually.
Yep.
So, good. Anything else you guys would like to leave the audience with?
I think probably we've shared
Most of it.
Most of it.
most of-
Yeah. Most of it.
But just we whatever is going from the kitchen is always fresh. We only bake on orders. That's it. And we love baking, and that smile which comes on the face now, that means a lot to us. And those
Especially
feedbacks.
people, kids who've been having cakes
Yeah.
right from year one.
Yeah.
We meet them, and they'll meet us somewhere
Yes.
after.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
And they're
12 or
getting
15,
married.
and then they tell us that
Yeah.
you did our first cake, and it's a wonderful.
Maybe to end, I will
Wonderful
ask you an
journey.
interesting question which you had shared. One of the categories of cakes which I was very surprised to know is the divorce cakes. Breakup cakes.
yes.
Maybe share some incidents of
Yeah.
the breakup cakes and
So
divorce
yes, we get all kind of cakes
Yeah.
from the baby showers to newborns, every cake, and the divorce cake also.
So we were also very surprised.
We
when
were also very surprised. Twice or thrice we got the divorce cake, and the children they ordered, and they said, "Yeah, we are very happy our parents are splitting."
Why?
So and plus breakup cakes also we did.
Yes.
So quite interesting.
Good.
So every occasion there is a cake.
What fascinates me is, any field you can take, which might look very simple, but you go inside, so much of complexity, so much of ranges.
Right. So especially for the divorce cake, we were trying to figure out how do we depict it. So we just spoke to the daughter who was there, and what do you think? What does this mean to your mother? So she said she's become free, and she was so whatever, she was so subdued in that relationship, and there's she feels so free. So we decided to do something like the cage is a cake, and the cake is a cage, and there's a bird flying out of it. So, and she was so, she had almost tears in her eyes, and she saw that, that's how exactly she feels.
Also, it seemed like, because for most of this, because you're actually relating to the person.
Yes.
And then that would make a lot of difference also, because it helps you learn what's happening in the society and
How they're thinking.
their mind and heart.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I guess we can go on and on, but thank you. We'll have another conversation.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.